All right, Storm fans and Arena football fans, thank you for tuning in yet again to another edition of Storm Alerts Coaches Show. We had to take a week off last week, had a couple of things come up where we weren't able to record, but Coach Thomas, we are back.
Back in action.
Good as ever?
Sure.
I guess that's kind of a loaded question. But I think that the title of this one, Shifts and Audibles, might be as fitting as titles we've had all year.
It would be a bestseller for sure.
So for those that don't know, we've had some pretty big news in the league come down over the last couple of days, last about 48 hours. For starters, we have a new commissioner, and former Titans and Rams head coach Jeff Fisher. In your aspect or in your mind, what do you think that means for the league as a whole?
I think it sends us in a positive general direction. Early on, I mean, if you're a coach and you've been in the coaching industry a long time, there's certain givens that just kind of go with how a organization, a program, or whatever is supposed to be run. And very early on in my, in my interactions with the previous regime, it was, unfortunately, it was very clear that they just weren't football guys. They didn't have football backgrounds, and there was a lot of things that were being done that I was, quiet about, and I let them play out. But I was very concerned about early on, and most of them played out to be, very true. If I was going to start a football league, the first thing I would start with is an ops manual and a rule book. Yeah. And I wouldn't go out and try to sell anything. Because what are you selling? I mean, you got to have a product to sell. This is the style of football we're going to play. This is the rules that we're going to surround ourselves with, and we think it's going to be great and whatever. And stand by your product. It took 8 months to get our hands on a rule book, and then there was 4 different versions of it, and none of them were similar to the other ones. So, you got people. What kind of athletes are we recruiting? And again, not to give you too much of the behind the scenes stuff, but with Coach Fisher in that position now, I feel confident, at least from a coach's standpoint. I think a lot of people will have less concerns about how it's run and just being at least a coach. When I say coaches friendly, coaches are just give us the rules and we'll make it work. But it's hard to get a general direction for your program or your organization when you don't know what you're trying to accomplish based on what the rules are. So I feel like from that standpoint, I think it's going to be good for everybody moving forward. I think the name obviously carries some weight, which should help with raising capital and having access to investors on a grand scale. And I feel positive about the direction. It was past time for some monumental shift to happen to get this thing pointed in the right direction. And I think a lot of people in general are encouraged about where it could go from here.
Yeah. I actually talking to part of our ownership group earlier tonight. They said that the last 48 hours has been a lot of time on the phone, which all of us could probably imagine with changes like this. They said that today was probably the least stressful day in the last 4 months.
Correct. I would imagine.
Just because of the way the conversations today went versus every other day. And so I'm sure you're in the same boat as I am. Very, very excited about what the future could potentially hold. With what we've already heard over the last 48 hours. And actually some of that change happened on the way home for us.
While we were playing, yeah, correct.
And, so let's talk about part of that change. This weekend, we were slated to go to Rapid City, play Saturday evening. We are now going to be going to a state very far away and playing at Albany, New York on Sunday now instead of Saturday. So with that change, obviously the game plan is going to change a little bit, different teams. without giving away the complete game plan, what can you kind of tell us about what you about kind of what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of in the last 24 hours have even started that process. We literally found out about this Monday night at about midnight. Well, it was probably probably 11 at night when it was finally concrete. So I didn't worry about that while we were on the bus. Yesterday we kind of was a recovery day, but because we played Monday night, we lost a day in our prep and we lost a day in our recovery, and so this turnaround is going to be kind of brutal. But I've had a chance to watch 2 of their games. I haven't started necessarily breaking down tendencies and stuff like that yet, but they're good. They're a good football team. They're organized. They're well coached. They understand the game. What they're trying to do. They have a system you can see, and they have players that understand that system. And they're not undefeated for a reason, but they seem to be kind of the prototypical arena football league. From the back in the day, from what I remember of the Arena Football League, and so they're, you can watch the progression of the game, and see that they're organized, and you can see their game plan play out a little bit, and you can see that they're not, I wouldn't say super complicated. I don't know that anybody's super complicated, but a lot of what they do complements the other thing. They do just enough to keep you real honest, and they're doing it with real good players. Quarterbacks, a quality passer, distributes the football quite well. They throw some one-on-one balls, 50-50 balls, whatever, and they do a good job of street balling when they have to, and making it work. So this will be a really good test for us, from a athletic standpoint, from a scheme standpoint, from an athletic standpoint. They're going to test us in every aspect. Not to mention a 4-day travel.
Yeah.
The travel that I've seen on the itinerary is brutal. Not to mention, we're going into our second game in a row where the team we're playing is coming off of an open week.
Yeah.
We're losing almost a day and a half of prep for travel, and then we're going to get home at Monday almost midnight because we can't fly out until Monday, and it pretty much takes a full day to get back here because of connections and layovers, and then the drive out of Denver. So we lose a day of prep for our next opponent the week after, which will be a home game, but it's still just the way the last 2 weeks have played out for us has just been quite difficult. And no excuses. We've got to do what we've got to do, and we're adaptable and flexible. But the schedule for us has been less than ideal, and I understand in the long run there's some pivots that need to happen for this shift, and somebody's it's going to work out good for some and work out bad for others, but we have ended up on the poop end of the stick in this whole shift, and I'll we'll make it work as best we can, but it has been less than ideal for what we had thought that we were getting ourselves into. So.
And while we have a moment, I do want to give a big shout out to Dodge City Brewing, who offers us their place every week to do this coach's show. Absolutely feel free, fans, to come on out and support us in person. And hey, we have a comment. Mr. Albert Vasquez Soto wants to say he loves you.
I love you back. I love you back, and I love you too, Daquan.
And here we go, Daquan Bailey Brown saying favorite coach. I think he's talking about. There's no way he's talking about you.
Can't possibly be talking about me.
Be me. So the last 3 weeks we've had games. Obviously, we've had some guys kind of stand out. Is there any of those that you kind of want to? Obviously, all of our players here are very athletic. They're all on our team for a reason. But are there any of them that you think have stood out just a little bit more?
Not necessarily in that we've been, in every game it's kind of been a different somebody. Todd Athey catches 3 touchdowns in the opener, and then but he's caught a touchdown in every game so far. Um, you know, Will Kiley stepped in and played center in 2 of our games. JJ came in last week, just a brand new guy, and did a pretty admirable job at center for us, with Will being banged up, and then Will got healthy and went over and played defensive line, pretty well. Marquise is just a phenomenal pass rusher, one of the best ones I've ever been around personally. Michael Lawson is a freak on the back end. When he got injured on Saturday or Monday, things kind of went sideways a little bit. He provides so much protection for us on the back end of our defense and allows us to do some things. And we fall off pretty fast when he's not back there. But Damien's been a rock at that defensive specialist at corner. We've got a lot of guys that are transitioning in and out, playing in that Ironman stuff up front and are doing an admirable job. Between Vince and Jeremy, they're doing a great job of being unselfish, splitting time at that fullback, backer position, and they both rushed for multiple touchdowns last week. Both had some big carries and chewed up a lot of yards on the ground. So there really isn't anyone that I can point to that, in every game, DeQuan stepped up and had a huge game last week versus Iowa. It really honestly stood out. Yeah. He was a little quieter last week, but he's been unbelievable in the kickoff return game. Yeah. And honestly, I'll be shocked if we get 10 games out of DeQuan. He's probably going to end up in the Canadian Football League here in the next couple of weeks, and it just it is what it is, and that's part of the deal. So we'll adapt as we can. Chris Platt, but we were counting on being a huge part of our offense, who got hurt in our scrimmage. He got a little taste of some action last week for the first time, and he's finally starting to move around without the brace on, and looks as electric as he did. And so I think down the stretch, Chris will be a bigger part of what we do moving further. So that's a good and a bad thing. We haven't really leaned on any one guy to kind of make the thing work. And we have a lot of pieces to the puzzle. We've got to play better complementary football, offensively and defensively, and we've got to play better situational football. And we've had 2 opportunities to put football games away, and we didn't get it done. And that's honestly where we just have to be better as players executing the scheme, understanding the situations we're in, and coaches putting our guys in better situations to be successful.
Absolutely. Gosh, I lost my train of thought. So food came out and our guys got loud, and
yeah, they did.
Kind of forgot where I was going with it. So after this week, we finally get back home. This week, we finally have a non-divisional game as well. Next week, we will be at home. We're going to be playing Billings. Obviously, we haven't really started looking at what they are. We do know that they're very well managed, well coached,
yes,
very
they are.
organized team.
I had a chance to watch them a little bit in preparing for Wichita, and they are. Billings is they're a lot like Albany in that they're very traditionally playing the arena game, and they have a lot of things that complement each other, schematically, and they look like they have a very, very good understanding of the game that they're trying to play, and they'll be, with the way things played out, the league-wise, only the strong survive this thing.
Yeah.
So the truth is that there's nobody on your schedule left that's there's nobody on your schedule where you can schedule a win.
Exactly.
It is going to be a dogfight, till the end, and everybody's going to be talented. Everybody's going to be very organized, and it's and the expectations should be nothing less than that. So
exactly. So Storm fans, as we find out how you can watch this weekend's game, we will get that information shared out to everybody. But if you haven't had a chance to watch a game, haven't had a chance to listen to a game, we do want to see you guys out here next Saturday night. I believe a 5:00 kickoff again.
I believe so. Yes.
If we're wrong, which is possible, we only are wrong 15 to 20 times a day.
I mean, we're only wrong 50% of the time, 80% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. So as we get that, if we are wrong, we will get that information shared out. We do want to give a shout out to one of our big sponsors and big supporters, Kai Myers. He believes in you, Coach.
I mean, it's clearly he's confused and a poor judge of character. But Kai, I love you, Kai. He's one of my really, really good friends. Solid dude right there.
I mean, as always.
And if you're looking for a roof, Ozone Roofing is the place to be.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, I'm on the schedule. I'll be getting a roof from Ozone Roofing in the next couple weeks. And also shout out to Albert and Central Station. If you're looking for a steak, if you're looking for a beer, if you're looking to just hang out, go to Central Station. It's a good time. I met my wife there.
Hey.
I mean, if there's not a better endorsement for Central Station,
so if you are a single male
looking for a steak,
looking for a steak, you may go to Central Station. Yeah. You may end up with a wife and 3 kids, and getting stuck in Dodge City.
I wouldn't use the word stuck, but there's others that might.
Well, Coach Thomas, I think it's about time we wrap this week's up. Just craziness right now, so it's kind of hard to really get everything we need out. But like I said, next week we're going to be here again at Dodge City Brewing. We're going to have Coach's show, hopefully with a win. Coming back, getting ready for another tough opponent.
That would be all right. I would not complain about that.
As always, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to all of our socials, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok to stay up to date with all of the Southwest Kansas storm happenings and the storms that are moving through for you. We are going to take a big storm front to Albany this weekend and hopefully rain down on the parade a little bit.
You know what? We need to get back on the good side of these things. So, we're going to – guys, honestly, we got thrown a little bit of a curveball today and had to be outdoors. And guys were locked in. We honestly had a real lower tempo, but we had a great practice. And our guys are – we honestly have a great group of guys. They do make it fun to come practice every day. They are professional about how they take on tasks. They don't make too much noise off the field. They're honestly we're very fortunate to have the group that we have, and they represent us in Dodge City and Southwest Kansas honestly well, even though very few are from around here. But I know we're not where we want to be. And we're very close to 7 points from being undefeated. If you want to look at it that way, but we're not where we want to be. But we really do have. I wouldn't trade our group of guys in for anybody. It's really been. They save a lot of headaches and off-field stuff that just makes this a lot of fun and allows me to be back in the game of football, which is something I've done my entire life, and they allow me to do it and not have to deal with some of the headaches that come from when you're not on the field. So I appreciate you guys for that.
Absolutely. Storm fans, don't forget to stay up to date with everything that we have going on. And if you still want to get involved, we still have plenty of ways that you can. Just reach out. We will do what we can to get you involved in any way, shape, or form. And as always, Coach Thomas, what's happening with storms?
There's a storm brewing.